Welcome back to Rush Rivals. Manicist holds on to his lead on the 1v1 leaderboard, Whistling Bird currently has the most points, and Parko has won the most challenges with 2 wins. Today the rivals will be playing the Wheel of Rush. Players will spin a wheel in order of most to least points, with each section of the wheel holding a deck building restriction that players must abide when building their challenge decks. They will then play a single elimination bracket to see who comes out on top as the challenge winner. So, in first place currently we have Whistling Bird, who ended up with limited only, which basically means he can only use a certain select number of cards, such as legends and such as cards that are limited, either 3, 2, or 1, and then a small handful of other cards. This does mean his deck is going to be very weird, because typically, you're not allowed to use more than 1, or more than like 3 limit 3s, for example. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Then we have Manicist, who has no skill. So Manicist is not allowed to use any skills. We have Draco, who has to use 7 level 7s. So, there are some skills that might work better with that, some that might not. Parko is not allowed to use any trap cards. Hunter is locked into Magical Knights, which means he can only use Magical Knights, he can use Spellcasters, he can use Warriors, and just for this one session, we are also going to allow Curse of Dragon, but he is not allowed to use the new Gaia skill. Milaneso is not allowed to use any spell cards, Sota is not allowed to use any effect monsters, and Hikari is not allowed to use any monsters that are level 7 or higher. So that is basically what's going on. Everyone has really somewhat frustrating restrictions. Some of the restrictions are more restrictive than others. Some of them are kind of fine, right? So we're going to have to just see what happens here. We're going to have to see who ended up building the better decks. Now, I think it's fair to say some of these restrictions are very obviously worse than others. I don't know what you guys think is the worst, like specifically from the rivals. In my opinion, I think no level 7 plus can be a bit annoying.
On the Ed as well for Hikari.
Yes, it is also on the extra deck. So there is no Metarian shenanigans, but there are some other things you can do with that. I'll go ahead and reveal the brackets for what you're going to be playing. So we have pre-randomized this. This is entirely random. I did not change this whatsoever. I did not try and balance this. This is just how it came out. So the brackets will be as follows. In the first game, we will, we'll play them simultaneously, but we have Whistling Bird versus Sota, Parko versus Hikari, Manicist versus Hunter, and Draco Kid versus Milaneso. And then we will go ahead and start spectating some of these games. So let's jump into Whistling Bird versus Sota. I think this is arguably going to be the most interesting deck. So this is going to be Whistling Bird on limited only, which is a very, very complicated restriction, but basically he's only allowed to use primarily limited cards and a few cards outside of that. Sota, on the other hand, has no effect monsters, so he has to be on an entire normal monster main deck. Let's see what happens. So Whistling Bird's going to start out with 2 defensive monsters and a back row. Looks like we're going to be seeing some elemental hero action from Sota. And we are going to be summoning out Gaia, the Fierce Knight. And Chivalrous Celerity is coming down. This is something I actually didn't consider, was how many people could make use of the new Gaia skill. So this is going to be an interesting one. And unfortunately, this is not the time to brick when your opponent's playing arguably one of the best decks in the format, because, I mean, effectively, this is just going to be Hero Gaia, right? You're not allowed to use effect monsters, so there's going to be no, like, Argent. I mean, what other effect monsters does that deck even play? I guess you also won't have the Battle Tested, which is actually kind of big. And we do have a Chronicled Conqueror of Champions coming down. We are going to be using its effect to pop a back row, which is not always the best thing to do with this card, but in this early stage, I mean, getting a direct attack isn't really going to help out. I suppose the alternative would have been to go for the Swift and try and use that, but we did get rid of our opponent's Avarice, and we are going to attack over the 2 limited.
Tomato.
At here.
I still got the direct attack. Oh shit.
Audit übrig.
Alright, I have pinged Hunter. Hopefully he will get that, and hopefully he'll show up in the next 5-10 minutes. Because, again, he has something very important that he couldn't really get out of. So we're going to play this by ear. If he doesn't show up in time, we will just have to... Oh, no! I was sorting out stuff, and then... I mean... Yeah, sometimes you just draw the max. You just OTK out of nowhere. I mean, I don't think anyone misses this deck, right? I don't think anyone actually misses this deck.
Die hat zwei Pikes in Hand.
Deck check Whistle. I've already checked Whistle's deck. I already know Whistle's is completely fine. All right, let's jump into Hikari versus Parko. So Hikari has the restriction of no level 7+, which is quite a steep restriction, against Parko's no trap cards. So Parko can basically play anything he wants, but we're not going to see like a negate attack.
While you were sorting out your stream, Bird took out Magnum from his sleeve.
I'll allow it since he defeated Gaia. Alright, let's see what happens here. So we're going to be summoning out both of our heroes using Fusion to combine them into the Elemental Hero Flame Wingman. We will be attacking in and only getting the 500 burn. So we are going to be seeing Dragon's Inferno come down. Is this literally going to be...
So it's heroes vs full power Metari and Gaia.
Yeah, I think this is full power Metari and Gaia. Okay. This feels very one-sided in terms of the deck choice. And the deck choice is only one-sided because of the heavy restriction that Hikari got. Now, if Hikari... Because this came down to two different restrictions. Hikari basically had, I think it was no extra deck or no level 7+. And I think no extra deck obviously wouldn't...
No level 7.
Yeah, no level 7+ is pretty yikes. Alright, so we will be going on to Milanesso versus Draco. So Milanesso has the restriction of no spell cards. So that'll be an interesting one. And Draco has to play 7 level 7s. Has to be on 7.
I think Gaia might be T0 since it can be fused with Hero and very nicely.
And no other downside on Mal.
Listen, it's a wheel. It's meant to be a wheel. Like, so they're not meant to be balanced. Chivalrous Celerity is going to come down. Everyone is just playing Chivalrous Celerity. Everyone is just playing it. Monster Calling comes down. We're going to be bringing back the Curse of Dragon. Secret Order is going to bring back the Gaia the Fierce Knight. Polymerization from the hand is going to combine them together.
You didn't expect us to play it?
It's less about expecting you to play it and more about when I designed this wheel, this deck didn't exist. Right? So, Swift Dryer comes down. Swift Guy's effect is going to activate. Card Restoration is going to come down. Yeah, you can wait. You can get on with the next game if your opponent is ready. That's completely fine.
Against the meta.
Good thing it's not the best of the yeah. That's just the way it goes. That's just the way it goes. So we are going to see Chemicalized Salamander come down from Milanesso. So Milanesso, once again, is not allowed to use any spell cards. But so he's decided to play Pyro. An interesting choice. Chivalrous Celerity is going to come down. We are going to boost the attack of our Conqueror of Champions. We are then going to use the battle-tested effect to fuse using the Curse of Dragon in the graveyard to create a Swift Guy.
I think I would lose this even if it was best of 500.
We are going to attack over for 1100. We are going to attack over for 700 damage. We're going to summon out the Jamalu, which does turn on the skill and is going to allow us to mill 3 and add back the Chemicalized Salamander. We're going to tribute 2 to summon out the Chromatographicus. We're then going to summon out our Flame Ruler, use its effect to tribute it as 2 tributes to summon out the Chemicalized Salamandra. We're then going to shuffle 3 cards back to reduce the attack of our opponent's monsters by 100 for every monster in the graveyard.
What stuff is getting played.
Okay.
We will then swing over for 500, swing over for another 500, and presumably clear this last monster. But I can't imagine Draco's not going to have lethal here.
Not trust any set.
I mean, potentially. I do not believe we have seen... I don't think it's going to be NA. Yeah, has to be slime. Has to be slime. So we will be fusing our monsters together to create the mighty Elemental Hero Burst Wingman. Now, what do we hit? We do hit the slime! So this is lethal on board unless we have like an attack modification. But even that, with a second boss on the board, this is just going to be lethal either way, right? I don't think there's anything that could save this.
I think the next Limitless Burst Wingman might be sent to 1.
It potentially could be. The thing is, I don't even think Burst Wingman is the issue. It's the fact that you can play Burst Wingman with the Gaia skill in the Gaia deck. That's like the broken bit.
Heck, wait.
Wait. Hold. Hold. We did gain enough life to survive. Our other two bodies were too big to be attacked over and killed. We do get to use this skill thanks to summoning a normal Pyro. We will add back Chemicalized Salamander. We can clear this board. Clearing the board is not the issue. The issue is surviving the next turn. We've gone through pretty much every trap that we had.
Not trust we will reduce enough to win.
Gut, ist ein Pyro-Agaya Killer.
Okay, we're going to summon out Chemicalized Salamander, then get out the Hyper Assistant
That's how to
Ember.
take it out. Cause Guy Conquerors at one.
We
So
can
putting
reduce...
Burst
Oh,
Wing
wait,
at
wait,
one would
hold.
solve it.
Hold.
Or they could just rebalance the skill to only have LVL7
Oh.
and...
Phlogiston? Our graveyard is so full. There's no way. This has to be live, right? There's no way Phlogiston isn't live. We need what? 7 plus 6? We
Wir haben
need 2
also mit
3s.
Arion jetzt Morelimios.
I mean,
Wait,
yeah,
chill.
we've... Yeah, okay, everyone, there we go. Gaia who? Chemicalized best deck.
Apologize.
Robert de für Adamua.
Hissy.
I don't even. Good job, Milanesso. That was impressive. Yeah.
Milaneso
So
is the true main
Mila,
character
have
of
my
Rush
kids.
Well,
Rivals.
now that means only Popko is a threat.
all right, Asana versus Maddox. Let's see what these players have for us. So Manicist has the no skill restriction. Hunter has the magical knight restriction, which limits him to only playing spellcasters, warriors, magical knights, and with the one exception, he is allowed to play Curse of Dragon, but not use the new Gaia skill. We are going to immediately see Secret Order come down, special summoning out Gaia, and then getting out a second Gaia the Fierce Knight. Quite an aggressive open, but this does mean he's going to be pretty much out of Secret Orders. We are going to see Jointech Rex come out from Manicus, looking like we are playing a machine good stuff pile, but it is going to be met with negate attack, although unfortunately Hunter cannot be over a 2500 vanilla and goes full defensive. We are going to see Ancient Gear Golem come down from Manicus. This was one of the expected decks to see from Manicus, since there are a few decks that do work quite well without skills, one of them being the machine good stuff pile. We are now going to see a all-seeing Harvey Siesta Torero combo play to get rid of the Ancient Gear Golem. Rhythmical Performer is going to come down, as long with Jointech Leo, which will be able to recycle that Ancient Gear Golem in exchange for giving our opponent back their Magical Stream. We're going to summon out a second Jointech Rex, so I assume we will be popping one of the other two cards, and we will hit Slime, which is actually huge. We will then be getting out the Ancient Gear Golem and attacking over both of these monsters for a large chunk of damage. Let's see what Hunter can do here. We are going to see Magical Stream come down to pop Manicus negate attack. Then we are going to see the Tribute Summon of Gaia the Fierce Knight into Talismanic Seal Array to reduce the attack of that Ancient Gear Golem and get rid of it once more. Unfortunately, though, we still only have a 2300 attack monster. Rhythmical Performer is going to come down. Jointech Leo is once again going to recycle Ancient Gear Golem, so we are just going to keep using it again and again. And again, here it comes, Ancient Gear Golem, here comes Reactor, milling 2 cards, tributing 2 to summon out the Mechlord Mirror Innovator for just a ridiculous amount of attack, up to that 4200, and the 3000 Pierce. That will just end the game. So that's going to be Manicist advancing to the next round. Alright, so we will be watching Whistling Bird, who does have the limited only restriction, and did win his last game thanks to Magnum Overlord. Playing against Parko, who has the no traps restriction, and we do know is playing full power Gaia.
Liebe live in my 19 Land 3S.
Believe in his 19
Oh,
limit
I'm so
threes.
dead.
Let's see what happens. One thing we will say is that Magnum works a lot better when you don't know it's coming. So we'll see what happens here.
Magnum, don't hit me.
Right, let's see what's
Who's
happening
my next
here.
opponent if Hunter isn't available?
If Hunter isn't available, your next opponent will be Milanesso. I will give it until this game finishes. If this game finishes and Hunter hasn't said anything or he hasn't readied up, we will just go on to the next round. That is going to be his time limit. So we do see Mirror Innovator come down, who does get to pierce over. Parko does take a chunk of damage, going down to 3,700. Now, Parko is arguably playing the best deck in the game right now with, like, 2 traps taken out. So, let's see if Whistling Bird can fight back. So we are going to flip up the Sword Dancer.
Another sword, danke.
We're going to summon the Imaginary Reactor, activate its effect, milling 2 spell cards, then flipping over Polymerization. This will allow us to use the skill to take back Polymerization and any normal monster, guys. Any normal monster. Not just a Gaia normal monster. Any normal monster from the deck and add it to our hand, which is kind of nuts. That's kind of nuts. It's almost like you can abuse that by playing a lot of other things that aren't Gaia cards in it. Like,
Eco-Ketere?
it is possible. It is possible. You might be alive, maybe.
Probably.
But you're definitely taking an absolute crap ton of damage regardless. Chivalrous Celerity. So this will increase the attack of a
Live in
short
the heart of the cats.
Shame Parko
has no traps to stop Magnum.
Yeah. I mean, it might not matter.
LM
Bij Grandpad had meer hoofd to draf exodier.
Well, in Magnum, you only need 3 cards. You don't even need all 5. You plan on doing Matari and Gaia video? Yes, it will eventually. It probably won't come out for a while yet, though, because I don't really want to do, like, Gaia, and then Gaia, and then Gaia as 3 videos back to back to back. I do want to see a little bit of diversity. We will swing over, and then we'll get in for a further 28. Oh, he's like, I don't want to get his life points lower. Magnum scary.
Donate a lot of money so Tomato gets distracted.
Now, what someone should do, if there's any, like, people that have a lot of disposable income, I was going to say they should just gift all the rivals subs just to make it really funny. But out comes the Magnum Overlord. So this is going to increase its attack points by the 9 times 2 up to 53. So that is 39, if my maths is correct. And we know the back row can't be a trap.
Wait, couldn't Parko summon another fusion with the skill?
I mean, he could have done, but that still wouldn't have killed, and it wouldn't have stopped him from dying. So he definitely could have. So we are going to have Whistling Bird advancing to the finals, and then this is Manikist versus Milanesso in the semis. That's what I do in post-editing. So we are going to be summoning out the Rising Light Angel Essel. We are going to be using its effect. We do send 2 cards to the graveyard. We don't get the special summon because it's the first turn of the game. So just to reiterate, Manikist is playing with restriction where he is not allowed a skill. Milanesso is playing with restriction where he is not allowed any spell cards. So Manikist is playing machine good stuff into Milanesso's Pyro deck. I think I actually would give this to Milanesso. I think Milanesso has the advantage going in this. Because the Pyro deck actually isn't bad. It's just crap into, like, the current format. But we're not playing the current format. And even then, it did actually manage to beat one of the current format decks in the last game.
Will be played during your turn.
So we will set a monster in defense position. Do we have any bosses? We'll tribute 2 to summon out the boy himself, Chemicalized Salamandra. Forever Freeze is going to be used, though. We will be setting another monster in defense and setting 1 back row.
That's going to be your theme whenever you draw a card.
We'll have to see. So we will be summoning out the Crafter Drone, activating Crafter Drone's effect. We will be discarding a very interesting card, getting rid of the Mirror Innovator. That tells me we probably already have one in hand. Oh, the Ancient Gear Golem is going to come down. What is in the hand for Manikist? We're setting a back row. And we're setting another monster in defense position. So we opted to keep that back row instead of getting out the Innovator. I mean, obviously to get out the Innovator, we would have had to tribute over the Rex, which is probably not ideal. Also, having 3 attack position monsters might not be the best against a deck that really wants you to play face-up attack position monsters. Can you edit that for us to wait? It depends. I've got a lot of stuff to do over the next week. So obviously we've got the new set, the new decks out. So we're going to be using the skill to add Chemicalized Salamander to hand, activate Nitro Hound to burn for 400. Now we do know that we have the Chemicalized Salamander in hand already. The question is, do we have any other bosses? We're going to summon out the Chemicalized Salamander. We could, though, summon out the Flame Ruler or the Ember to cheat out another boss monster. Or we could just summon and then tribute out another one. But it'll be interesting to see what is in there.
realitet ohne Tintuk, Konami is really careful with its limit 2S.
For sure, for sure. So we are going to use the effect of Salamander to reduce the attack of both these monsters. And just like we said, well, the Flame Ruler, but nothing to actually go with it. So we can crash. We are going into the Jointech Rex, and we will attack over the Esser with the Flame Ruler. But Milanesso's life point's not looking too good, but we do have 2 back rows, so we might just be okay. Now, what is Manicus going to have? This is always going to be a really sketchy situation. You know that Milanesso plays a lot of trap cards. Star Replacer is going to give us the 3+1. This will make getting our bosses out a little bit easier. We're going to summon out the Jointech Leo. This will give us access to either the Ancient Gear Golem or the Rex. I would expect it's going to be Golem added here. And there it is. It's going to be the Golem.
How is anyone beating Mila?
We're going to be activating Craft the Drone to discard a card and draw a card. So we know we have the Ancient Gear Golem ready to come down. We know what one of our opponent's back row is for sure. We are going to tribute set and then set again. Now this is taking advantage of the fact that we know our opponent doesn't have any way to really beat set 3 pass. And we can't reduce the attack or defense of our opponent's monsters. So if we do set, for example, Ancient Gear Golem, which is the assumption of what's just been set, Mila shouldn't have any way to actually deal with that. We have also just seen Forever Freeze go to the graveyard, which means we no longer need to worry about playing around that. Let's see what Milanesso has for us. We're going to be tributing the Flame Ruler to summon out the Chemicalized Salamander. We'll be going to the battle phase. We will be swinging over these monsters. 1, 2. So who will be next? Okie dokie. Manicus just passing. Oh no. Oh no. Not looking good for Manicus. I want to get an ice cream when I don't play anymore. You will not be not playing any more Whistling Bird. You're in the finals.
Can someone cue the
Diesmal
Tomato Club?
Strawberry
That's how
Vanilla
I feel right now.
Cone is waiting.
Ooh, what? What did we just witness? Oh, because we know Manicus has set on the field the Ancient Gear Golem. So Manicus doesn't want to flip it up because then it will get reduced. He also doesn't want to play any cards from hand because they're now in the deck out war. So this is actually a very interesting scenario they find themselves in. As is, Milanesso will deck out first. Milanesso has ways to out this. I mean, we should probably check the graveyard to actually make sure he does. Yeah, Milanesso should have ways to out this. Manicus, though, is kind of sitting pretty right now. We're going to be summoning out Rhythmical Performer and Craft the Drone. Tribute 2 to summon out the Rex. Activate Rex's effect. This will let us refill our deck, which is actually so important.
Performer Mill.
I think I know where Manicus is going with this. He doesn't want to use the Performer Mill because he's worried about his own deck as well, I think. So he's going to have to use a lot of cards from his hand here. Yeah, this is exactly what we're expecting. He doesn't want to leave any face-up monsters, because if he does, then Milanesso can activate the effect of Chemicalized Salamander. So noticing this, we are going to start attacking over these monsters, because now if we leave the Ancient Gear Golem face up, we can activate the Chemicalized Salamander and start refilling our own deck. Which now forces Manicus to make a decision. We are just going to pass, so this should be allowing Milanesso to start using his effect. 2, 3, which does give us the deck lead. And we also have our way to out the mighty Ancient Gear Golem. Wait, do we not have... We don't have the vanilla, so it didn't gain the boost?
Oh no.
Where's Small Ember? That's what I'm saying. Where's Small Ember? We had so many cards in the graveyard. I was like, well, you just must have it. I had a similar thing. I actually played in an OCG tournament in Monos recently, and I did not just find any of my Super Assistant Achis, or Ember, as it's now called, and it completely screwed me over. So we can now use Chemicalized Salamander to just keep refilling our deck. Because there's a face-up Ancient Gear Golem on the field. As long as that card remains face-up, we can just keep refilling our deck over and over. The question is, can Manicist also find a way to continuously get his guy out and refill and do it again and again and again and again? In which case, this might just be an infinite stall game. We're already on turn 18, by the way. It's at times like this that I'm happy I made this best of one instead of best of three.
That was such a huge fumble, but Mila might win regardless.
Milanesso has everything in his deck that he needs. He just needs to get it all out in the right order. Let's see if Manicist has what he needs, though. We're going to be adding back the Mirror Innovator. We're going to be setting...
Scary.
Summoning out the Mirror Innovator, which will let us refill.
Gut, he needs to put out 8k plus damage.
Yeah, just act plus damage. Just if he just does that, he'll win. We are going to be changing the Ancient Gear Golem
What's
to
Mila's
attack
restriction?
position. Mila's restriction is he's not allowed to use any spell cards. So all of those back row are guaranteed traps. So we're going to be summoning out Dr. Redrobe. Activating the Fatal Roar skill to mill 3. Because we don't have an effect monster that's level 7 on the field, we can grab Salamander from the graveyard. We're going to summon out Nitro Hound, burn for 400. Now we do know that there is a Chemicalized Salamander in the hand already. There might even be a second. Because we could have drawn the other one. And there is the third one being shuffled back into the deck. So there's either 2 in the deck or 1 in the hand and 1 in the deck.
Wart an, bitte.
We'll set another card, set a monster in defense position, go straight to battle. We will declare an attack, and there is going to be the negate attack forced out. Manicus back down to 1 card engraved.
That, Mila.
This is close.
Tat schuld beat for Monarchist.
Well, the defense position monster is probably a 1500.
It could be 1,500.
So we'll go ahead and refill our deck again. We're going to summon out Crafter Drone. Okay. And our music's just stopped. We'll fix that. We will tribute to summon out the Jointech Rex. Jointech Rex effect is going to activate, refilling our deck a little bit more. But Rex is a little bit awkward.
Hier gut Unlester is Akut trap man
The mighty Rex.
We do pop the negate attack, which is the best trap card we could hit. This is the issue. Jointech Rex can't really threaten either of the 2 boss monsters on the field. We're going to set another monster in defense position. Are we going to tribute over these for like another innovator? We are exactly going to be doing that. We will be going to activate its effect and shuffle more cards back into the deck. 1, 2, 3. This feels like a finals. Watch the finals be like herder pass, herder like just win game out of nowhere.
Here?
Magnum Overlord, turn 3.
Card Restoration is going to come down, which is going to increase our life points up by 1,000, which will allow us to survive this attack. Oh, where is this going to go, though?
We survived.
Both players able to continuously refill their decks again and again and again. We're going to be activating the Fatal Roar skill to add back Chemicalized Salamander once again. We'll summon out Nitro, use its effect to burn for 400. I can only assume we're about to see a double tribute come down for the Chemicalized Salamander. We can straight away fire its effect if we want, but for now we're going to summon out Dr. Redrobe. What are we going to do with this Dr. Redrobe? I think we've kind of come to the conclusion we need to win here. So we're going to summon out the second Chemicalized Salamander. Now, potentially, I don't believe we have access to the third. I think the third is still in the graveyard. No, we definitely do have access to the third. So if we have a Ember in hand, or... Well, we know we don't have the Flame Ruler because he's just put him back in. There's only one copy of Ember remaining. So if we have the last Ember in hand, because the other two we know are in the deck. Unfortunately, it's just Jarmalu. We are going to go to battle. We are going to attempt to get exactly 3,900 damage. But Buffered Slime is going to come down and stop all of Milanesso's hopes and dreams. Now, the question is, what is that last back row? We've seen Slime. Is it still the rice? It's still the rice. Okay. We know it's still the rice.
What is happening?
So we are going to use the effect of Replacer to get back the Essel. We're going to set another monster face down. We're going to tribute both to summon out Rex. And that is it. That was actually a really cool game. Now, some people will say, oh, they just stalled. They just passed back and forth. There was so much thinking, so much big brain, so much strategizing going in there. That was actually a treat to watch, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. There we go. Whistling Bird does believe in Grandpa, so what will win? Belief in Grandpa, the Megazord, and just drawing the max, or Manicust's ability to do his big brain plays, consider every small micro decision,
at least Whistle gets NA,
and see what happens. So let's see who is going to come out on top.
The better machine is not here.
Ah, the better machines are out, don't worry about it. There's reactors in Manicus deck. Crafter Drone's effect is going to activate. We will discard and draw one card. What about Actor? Now, Actor's just... I mean, Actor's kind of cooler, I think, than Reactor, personally. We're going to summon out the Mirror Innovator. Then we're going to use Essel's effect, which is going to special summon out a second Mirror Innovator. Does anyone remember the good old days of Machine Good Stuff being the best deck in the game? Double piercing on these bad boys. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the cards in Whistling Bird's deck have 0 defense. There's a 300 defense. There's a 0 defense. And there we go. We did say, after that semi-final, the finals was going to be a wet fart. And there it is.
Good finals.
We literally said it's going to be Herder pass, Herder die out of nowhere. That is exactly what we said. And that is exactly what happened, which means Manicust is going to be winning.
Damn it, Tomato.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah. Who's ready to see some prizes? If you won, you're getting first choice. There are going to be 8 prizes in total. So Manicust, you'll get to see every single prize and then choose which one you want.
Sure, prize gimme.
So we will go ahead and start showing off the prizes. So who's ready to see the first one?
If it's top 4, who gets the prize first? Me or Mila?
It will be whoever lost to the guy that won. So because Manicust won, Milanesso is going to have a higher seed. So the first prize is going to be Siesta Hold ×3. This is the very first card. Who wants Siesta Hold ×3, eh? Eh? Siesta Hold? Siesta Hold, anyone? Next up, Heavenly Bliss ×3. Heavenly Bliss.
Whoa.
Pretty good trap. A lot better if you're playing like maximums. Then we have Combustion Crisis ×3. Depending on the deck, this can be very, very powerful. It's going to be more about what you're playing against than what you're actually playing. But still can be a pretty good trap. Next up, we have Hammer Crush at 2 copies. This is 2 copies of Hammer Crush. And I will say this is not going to be limited. So you can play these along with your specific back row hate that is going to be limited. Next up, we have Shitotsu, the Talismanic Warrior, at 3 copies. 3 copies of Shitotsu. Again, there will be a lot more decks that want to use this card than decks that don't. Well, there'll be a lot less decks that want to use this than decks that do. Let's put it that way.
Finale Backhof hatte.
Nothing crazy, side.
I mean, we did say at the start there wouldn't be anything super duper crazy in here. Next up, we have Mr. Alchemy.
Wait, that's a bit crazy for me.
Mr. Alchemy at 3 copies. Now, if anyone's been paying attention, they will see that in the generic card pool, we do have, as of this week, Strange Cat. So this card is now going to be live. Next card, Pot of Greed. Not yet, not yet. Next up is going to be a legend monster, Cybertech Alligator. Cybertech Alligator, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that, a legend monster. Most people don't even have a legend monster.
I can't
That's
use any of
actually
these.
good for me. Mr. Alchemy.
Well, it's a good thing you can't use any of them, Draco, if you don't get first dibs on them. So you're not really missing out on anything then, right? And the last card is going to be Barrel Dragon, another legend card. So, Manicist, as our first place champion of the Wheel of Rush.
Gut Oldbarren.
Wait, where is our boy
Now, Vorce Raider's too strong to release. We can't let him into the meta, okay? You got to think about balance. All right, Manicist is decided to take his 3 Combustion Crisis. So they will be going to Manicist, which means next up will be Whistling Bird. So Whistling Bird, do you know what you are wanting to take? Give me Bliss. Okay, so I did expect Whistle would probably want Bliss, because Bliss it works quite well specifically with what Whistle has. So next up will be Milanesso. Milanesso, you get the next choice of working out what exactly you want from here. Thinking about which one of these cards he wants. He wants the Alligator. All right, Cybertech Alligator is being added to Milanesso's pool. So next up, it will be Parko. So Parko, does anything that remains take your fancy?
Hammer Crush.
Okay, Parko is going to be taking the Hammer Crush. So next up is Sota. Sota wants the Barrel Dragon, so that will be going to Sota. We will just go ahead and throw that onto your sheet. So Hunter, which one of these 3 do you want? Siesta Hold is going to be going to Hunter. We will go ahead and just give Mr. Alchemy to Hikari.
Like a Care Bear.
And then that will mean we will be giving Shitotsu to Draco. And that is that done. So if anyone wants to make any changes, bear in mind there's been barely any changes to the card pool, right? Realistically, nothing has realistically changed that much. Everyone's got a couple of little cards. This episode was primarily to get some points. Will be interesting to see what decks people bring. We did again update the card pool once again with a bunch of cards. Most notably, Star Restart and Talismanic Seal Array are now available to everyone. We also got cards like Phoenix Dragon, which will boost to the power of dragons, and a couple of different players have different dragon decks, as well as Dragon's Fortitude. We do also have stuff like An Magma Bear. We did get some of these other new cards like Umi and Stream of Elimination, which will make strategies a little bit more powerful. That being said, the emblems did get some new cards. Draco, unfortunately, has kind of already got everything that he can get from Thunder, Royal Rebel, and Dinosaur. There's not really anything
take your time.
As for everyone else, Hikari did get some new Galaxy cards, including some of the new stuff and the new skill. That means specifically we have got things like the Vanishing Heliacal Riser. I don't think Hikari's necessarily going to bring that out today, but you know, it's a possibility. Then for Milanesso, we did get some more psychic stuff. We still don't have the good psychic skill, the current one that lets us use the fusion, but we did get things like Ready Shine. We also got the new 7's Paladin fusion monster and the 7-star Road. Speaking of which, Hikari also did get the Hyperstrike Dragon, Dragius Star F, and Dragius, which could also increase the output and power of her deck quite significantly. Hunter didn't get anything of particular note because he's only got the bubble error emblem, so unfortunately not really much to report there. Whistling Bird has gotten the fusion stuff and dynamic dream builder skill for the worms. Sota, who has the high-tech dragon emblem, now has RB drive, as well as the red boot and the flip and flap dragons. Over to Manicus now, he has got the maximum Ragnarok skill, as well as the brand new Pyro skills, Fatal Roar and Red Protection, so we'll see if he wants to bring either of those out. Finally, we have Parko, who did get his Kimeterasu and Yameterasu fusions, which are unlimited in this format, so it'll be interesting to see if he brings any of that. We also have Burst Wingman available, so we could also choose to bring that. Metarian Ashura Star has also made his way to the table, but only one copy of Type Change Beam. So Parko has a lot of different options. We'll see what he decides to bring. So we will be hopping in to the first replay that has concluded, and this is going to be Draco versus Hikari. Draco's comments, I'm going to assume we kind of know who's winning here, but let's see what we have. Draco looks to be playing Royal Rebels. Hikari probably playing Dragons. So let's see what happens here. So Hikari is going to start with setting 2 monsters, then tribute setting something in the center. Kobold is going to come down. We're going to discard to draw. We're then going to summon out another monster, tribute to summon out the Royal Rebels Heavy Metal, and attack over Mirageus. We are going to be sending out the Star Replacer, activating Dragon Inferno, putting the Star Replacer back into our hand, and setting the Triad Drago. Dragia Star Nova is going to activate and add the fusion to our hand from the deck. We're going to tribute 2 and summon out the Multi-Strike Dragon Dragius, summon out the dragon, activate the fusion from hand, and here he comes, the big bad boss monster, this deck's original boss, the Dragia Star F. Dragia Star F's effect is going to allow it to have piercing and attack twice. Very, very powerful. We're then going to summon out the Dragorite and activate Talismanic Seal Array to reduce the attack of our opponent's monster. And that is going to just be the end of the game, which just goes to show why a big 3000 attack monster that can attack twice can be so unbelievably powerful. So unbelievably powerful. So we are going to see Mimi versus Zuijo. So we are expecting probably Bubble Era versus Dark Galaxy. Let's see what happens here. So we are going to be tributing 2 and summoning out the Elysium. Then we're going to be summoning out the Shoulder Foe, summoning out the Seahorse, and summoning out Speedy Performer. Speedy Performer's effect is going to boost the now tribute summoned Dian Keto the Boogie Master, but Strange Wall will prevent it from being able to attack over the Elysium. We're going to tribute out the Requiem and then normal summon out Avant Wolf. Requiem is going to get boosted up to 3700 attack, and we will then attack for game. I guess this means that Milaneso is still not playing his new skill. Still not playing the new skill. So we are going to be seeing Gavin Sogetsu versus Asana Mutsuba. It looks like this is probably going to be Warrior Fusion versus Worms, but we don't know which version of Worms this is yet. This could be Worm Maximum or this could be Worm Fusion. Both decks have seen a decent amount of representation. Neither one has really outshone the other as being the better version. Peaks of Blistopia is going to come down, Constructor Fighter Mixer. We're going to use Maximum Excavator to boost, and that is going to be the Celestial Seamstress, which means we're probably not going to be seeing... Oh, I was going to say we're not going to be seeing heroes. Looks like we might be seeing heroes. We are still... What is this? We're playing Ice. We're playing the Ice Sark skill so that we can play the heroes alongside it, I guess? Interesting, interesting. Okay, so this is kind of like an Ari brew, I guess is the best way to think of this. We will then be attacking with the Flame Wingman, whose effect will burn through Whistling Bird's life points. We will just be attacking back and killing the Argent. We'll then summon out the Rhythmical Performer, which is going to mill a maximum piece, which does reveal a little bit of as to what Whistling Bird is on. We'll summon out the Ice Sark. We'll set a monster in defense. We'll activate Talismanic Seal Array to reduce the attack of Whistling Bird's only monster, the Shovelon. Card Restoration is going to activate and give us a few life points back as we take 1900. Flame Wingman is then going to burn for another little chunk, and then we're going to maximum summon Worm Excavator, the Heavy Cavalry Draco. This will pop a back row from our opponent. Talismanic Seal Array is going to come down and reduce the attack of one of these monsters. Presumably that is going to be the Ice Sark. And we will try and get in for a ridiculous chunk of damage. That is going to be 4,000 damage to the face. And we just don't have any way to deal with that. So Whistling Bird will take the first game. Chemicalized? Okay, I'm curious. Let's see what happens. I mean, again, Chemicalized is a pretty good deck, just not against, like, the current best decks in the game. So when it goes into a lower power format, it's going to be reasonably powerful. Let's see what happens here. Can it take out the red boot? So we are going to see Manicus setting 2, tributing both to summon out the Chromatographicus, setting 2 back row, and then passing. RB Drive is going to be activated by Sota, adding the Beta Burn Dragon and sending the Flip Dragon to the graveyard. We will then normal summon the Beta Burn, activate its effect to burn for 100. Dragon's Inferno is going to come down to pop our opponent's Pierce. We're then going to tribute 2, summon out the Red Boot Boost Dragon, burn for 200, and boost our attack by the same amount. We will then attack over Chromatographicus and attack directly for 1400. Manicus will draw up to his full hand. We are then going to summon out the Ember, activate our skill, which will mill 3 and let us add a monster with 1500 or more defense from our graveyard, so we add back the Chromatographicus. We will be tribute summoning it. We'll summon out 2 Germalu, which will be tributing both to summon out the Salamander. Salamander's effect will be putting 3 monsters from our graveyard back into our deck and reducing the attack of our opponent's monsters by 100 times the number of monsters in their graveyard, allowing us to clear both of them and getting in for a decent chunk of damage. RB Drive is going to be activated, adding another Beta Burn Dragon to our hand. We're going to send Flat Dragon to the graveyard. We're then going to summon out Beta Burn and Fortitude. Fortitude to reduce, Beta Burn to burn. Red Boost Boot Dragon is going to come down. We're going to shuffle back some monsters back into our deck, burn our opponent and gain that attack. This time it will be 6, which is quite a significant number. This will now allow us to attack over the Chemicalized Salamandra for 900 damage. It will now pass back to Manicus, who's going to draw and summon out Ember, activating the back row hate to pop the opponent's Fortitude. We'll then use our skill to get back Chemicalized Salamandra once again, set a monster, tribute both to summon out the Chemicalized Salamandra, activate Stop Defense, very good use of it here. Chemicalized Salamandra is going to once again reduce the entire opponent's board, get in for 200, get in for another 24, but it looks like we are bricked up on high levels in that hand if we were unable to do anything else. Fortitude Dragon is going to come down, reduce the attack of our monster, Fortitude, and set the Dragon's Fortitude from the graveyard. We're then going to set Tribute both to summon out the Blue Fang and attack over. Now, Blue Fang is probably going to die here, but it's going to depend on our back row to see if we can protect it. We're going to be summoning, tributing 2 to summon out another copy of Salamander, and then we're going to summon out Ember, use this effect to cheat out a 3rd Salamander. We will now be just absolutely reducing the amount of attack of this Bluetooth by a ridiculous amount. This is going to be a 1500 reduction in total. We will attack, which will trigger a Dragon's Fortitude, which will allow us to recycle and stem the bleeding a little bit, and that is going to be a direct attack from Chemicalized Salamander, ending the game. Good job, Manicus, showing off the power of the new Chemicalized deck. That is going to be it for this episode of Rush Rivals. I hope everyone watching did enjoy. Continues. I don't know if anyone wants to say goodbye before we sign off. I always love it when we're like, oh yeah, you guys can all say goodnight and goodbye and stuff. And then,
hey, Kari,
like,
if you like to be friends with me, catch up.
It just like starts not picking anything up at all.